Watch this.
Well, unfortunately, North Idaho is making headlines for racism again. This time, a sitting senator tells a real native Idahoan to go back to where she's from. She tells us how it happened and why it's worth talking about. It's also worth remembering how diverse Idaho's culture can be, not chase it away. At least one Idahoan is reminding the community of that value in a new mural inspired by his family. High End Taste is taking over the City of Trees, and we want to know why these chief chefs are coming to Idaho's capital city. Go back to where you're from. The waspy, racist, xenophobic phrase is deep-rooted in American history, and it comes in many forms. It's not always said so clearly, though. But it was Tuesday night in North Idaho by a sitting state senator. Senator Dan Foreman told a Democratic candidate for Idaho's House and a member of the Nez Perce tribe to, quote, go back to where you're from, end quote. It is an election year, so Democrats and Republicans together held a Meet Your Candidates forum at the VFW in Kendrick on Tuesday night. It was a chance for Latah County residents to meet the 6 candidates for District 6 legislative office from both parties. All the Republican incumbents were there alongside their Democratic challengers, and it was all going pretty well until there was a question from the crowd about discrimination and legislation. Republican Representative Brandon Mitchell said discrimination doesn't exist here in Idaho, and it's more about people's perception and sensitivities. Representative Mitchell went on to say he doesn't see it. Then the question came to Democratic candidate Trish Carter Goodhart, a member of the Nez Perce tribe from Lapwai. We'll let her explain how it happened.
I basically just stood up and I said, just because this isn't your lived experience does not mean that discrimination and racism don't exist today. And these are, very real experiences of so many Idahoans. And it's not an Idaho issue. It's a national and even global issue.
And what was the response to that?
I didn't even get to finish my sentence. The state senator, Foreman, shot up out of his seat and started, I'm so tired of your liberal BS. Go back to where you came from. And then just shot out of his seat and moved his chair in a really dramatic fashion and stomped to the back of the room and started picking and collecting up his things. And he was all the while saying expletives the entire time. And it was just awful.
Did you respond to him?
I don't believe so. I wanted to, also because I think we're really missing an opportunity to not only educate the senator, but the rest of the people in attendance. That's what we have to do in these really tough situations by addressing racism and discrimination, is we have to address it head on.
Was there any reaction to what he said?
Oh yeah, the crowd, the audience that was there, the participants that had showed, the community people that had showed up, they were very upset. People were standing up and just jeering at him. I think I didn't see anybody that was in support of him, thankfully, in the crowd.
I'm sure the irony of the phrase "go back to where you're from" is not lost on you.
No, it's very ironic. I'm a very proud member of the Nez Perce tribe here in northern Idaho, and the real irony in it is where this forum was taking place in Kendrick, Idaho. Literal miles, just within miles, we have lots of land that are being leased out to family farms. And it's like, this is exactly where I'm from. I was like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, this is exactly where I belong. I have no intention of leaving.
So have you heard from him since?
No, I was thinking I have to save some energy so I can actually have a very diplomatic, educational one-on-one when he calls to apologize, because surely, he recognizes that this is a moment full of emotion, and I'm looking for that emotional intelligence where that he can call and apologize. You know, if he truly wants to represent our district, he has to know how diverse, how beautiful this community that we built up. And I set aside energy for him to call so we could have a good conversation about how racism exists, that it was very offensive and he could have done better. But no phone call, no message, no email.
A phone call, an apology, a discussion. What else would you like to see come out of this?
To acknowledge the fact that people are very much experiencing racism in our state. Whether you realized or did it with malice or intent, the fact that, you know, you offended somebody or hurt or harmed, you can say sorry, and that's good because healing happens after that. But yeah, that's not what happened.
Carter Goodhart told us Senator Foreman left in such a state on Tuesday night. She was actually worried he would return armed, looking to create violence. He didn't, though. This isn't the first time, though, Senator Foreman has been seen in this state of anger.
I'm tired of people like you walking up and putting out this nonsense.
What's going on, guys?
That's what it is. This guy says I'm not doing my job, and he's lecturing me on the Constitution.
Why don't you go ahead and
Why don't you take a hike?
just move along?
Liberal.
Thank you.
Nuttard.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, go ahead. And don't vote for me.
Nuttard.
Because you didn't.
Nuttard.
Yeah, you're a liberal nut.
That was back in September of 2017 during his first term at the Latah County Fair. Body cam video from the Latah County Sheriff's Office. Then there was this from 2018 at the Idaho State House when students from the University of Idaho showed up for a scheduled meeting with Senator Foreman to talk about birth control.
Abortion is murder. I stand against it. I am a Roman Catholic. I'm a conservative Republican. I think what you guys do stinks.
That is your choice.
You're damn right it's my choice, so stay out of my office.
You shouldn't make it other people's.
Next time you walk in my office, you're going to be dealing with ISP.
Dealing with ISP. Okay, so they were there to talk about birth control, by the way, not abortion, and that was the result of that conversation. Anyway, Trish Carter Goodhart hasn't heard from Senator Foreman, as she told us, nor has she heard from Republican leadership from Latah County. She did acknowledge, though, and thank Republican Representative Lori McCann, the other candidate that was there, Kathy Dawes, and Moscow City Councilwoman Julia Parker, for standing next to her, standing up with her Tuesday night to combat this racism. We have also not heard back from Senator Foreman. We did reach out today to ask him about this, but we do have confirmation. This incident was confirmed by Representative McCann, and she said it happened just as Carter Goodhart described it. Okay, so on the other side of that spectrum, you know, October is Fair Trade Month. It promotes a movement that aims to ensure farmers and workers receive fair pay, promotes environmental sustainability, build relationship between producers and end users, and address labor exploitation. Fair Trade America commissioned murals in Denver, Buffalo, and right here in Idaho at the Boise Co-op in Meridian. It's part of a campaign that highlights the role we have in creating trade systems that prioritize people and the planet. Hunter Funk caught up with the artist and uncovers the deeper meaning.
Armed with cans of color.
These farmers are from the Dominican Republic. They are cocoa farmers. They are siblings, Carlita and Francisco Martinez. They're highlighting these farmers to just bring attention to the work that Fair Trade America does.
It takes layers to create a piece that tells a story. And much like Bobby Gatan,
I've been painting now for at least 20 years.
This piece,
mostly with spray paint,
brings together layers of the past and blends it with the present.
Well, this is very close to my heart.
At the base of this creation,
I'm a former migrant farm worker, and so for me to represent farmers in a very positive way and in a way that brings, you know, a positive light, it's very important to me. And again, it's just puts a face to where your food comes from. And
so it hits close to home.
To me, it does. And also, it's just another. It's very meaningful because there's representation. You know, as a brown person of color, you know, I get to paint, you know, some, you know, Spanish-speaking farmers, and so for me, I think that's also another, you know, cool thing that I get to represent my, you know, my Hispanic heritage.
This isn't his first mural, but this one paints a brighter picture than the rest. Inspiration to paint farmers comes from his dad's dedication working in the potato industry.
I've always wanted to do art for a living, and just having my name up there, it is a proud moment. You know, I'm the only, boy in the family, and so I think when my dad comes around and visits, it's a proud moment for him to see his son, have a name out there.
But he also brushes in the beauty of his mother.
The butterfly is kind of part of my signature. I use it a lot in my work. It's a very personal representation of my mother, but it's also symbolizes transformation. It symbolizes migration.
This project wasn't just for Bobby, his family, or the fair trade farmers, but also a stroke of inspiration for the community.
Now, lots of honks, a lot of thumbs up. There's a friend I met, Bruce, and his wife and his dog. They come every day, look forward to and they've just been super excited about this project.
The final layer is a spray-painted reminder that art, just like farming, starts from the ground up. With the right strokes, it can flourish into something that leaves a big impact.
I always try to add something positive back to my community, and just being part of this project has allowed me to do that.
And there will be a plaque where the mural is, where you can learn more about these farmers and more about the fair trade efforts.
Okay, so that's pretty impressive. The colors are so vibrant. It's amazing. This guy's local, right?
Yeah, he comes from Mountain Home originally, moved recently to Meridian. And the really fun fact that I liked in the story that he told us was his teacher from Mountain Home, his art teacher, was across the street watching her daughter's cats and looked over and saw the mural and was like, wow, that's really pretty. And so came over and saw her old student's name right underneath.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. Full circle moment.
That is pretty cool. We were talking about this while we were watching the story. Like, is there plans, or do you know if there are plans to add to that? Because, I mean, there's a space there to kind of create some more murals.
I really hope so. Boise Co-op obviously is known for their murals.
Yeah.
If you go downtown, you know that for a fact. So I hope so. I know this is Fair Trade America's permission to do it, and they've been a part of that, so let's hope so. I'd love to see it happen again.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a cool story. Thank you very much, Hunter. Here's a fact you can throw out over dinner tonight and impress a few friends. Did you know in 2023, 47 new businesses opened in downtown Boise? Growth is the word the Downtown Boise Alliance uses to describe the city of trees right now. After all, just last week, we've had record attendance at the Boise State home game. University says they're 2.5% in enrollment, up 2.5% enrollment this year. Lime Scooter broke its ride records for the amount of rides in a Saturday. And to top off, the Wall Street Journal said Boise just might be one of the coolest cities in the Pacific Northwest right now. Okay, but back to the restaurants that we've seen popping up. We've seen an influx of the higher-end restaurants making their way here and wanting to be here. Aspen Shumpert stopped by a few of those spots today to hear why.
Are we becoming a food destination.
You know, we are. I think we hear a lot from tourists and visitors that they come down here and they're just surprised at how much we have to offer in the food world.
Some may say Boise is a mid-sized city, offering dining like a large city.
We have lots of high-end food, and in the last few months, even just the amount of places that have opened and are offering some really interesting things is really exciting.
Downtown has a mix of longtime classics and new ones who want to be here.
We're lucky in the sense that you can still get lunch down here for $10 or less. We still have some, like all of our really great like pubs and, you know, old school places, but yeah, we have all of this new stuff coming in.
She says Boise is a happy hour town that's also easily walkable, an attractive duo to newcomers, especially fine dining. Saltbrush on 5th and Grove opened less than 6 months ago. One of their co-owners who's lived here before, the other from Cape Town, South Africa.
It kind of started as maybe, funny enough, just wanting to open a place that we would want to go, want to eat at. You know, we weren't trying to reinvent the wheel, but we were also trying to bring something a little bit fresh to town that was slightly different conceptually.
Choosing where was easy.
Boise was like that nice little sweet spot right in the middle. I like that it's a growing town. I think that that makes it exciting as well, so that there's new business opportunities for folks with ideas, that you know, for the folks that are creative.
The same story over on Main Street at the Avery Hotel restaurant that's hitting its 1-year anniversary.
It feels exciting. I think that there's some new energy, and I think that there's new investment here.
He says a wonderful time to be a chef. But for Erica Clausen, a chef at Kin in downtown, the growth is why she wants to stay.
It's just, I feel like just even in that short time of 7 or 8 years, it's just grown so much and we've come so far. And there is a lot of talent here in town, and it's nice to see people sticking around and opening up spots.
The push for more excites her.
The community is really excited and like starving just for more cool things happening here in the restaurant and bar industry. So I'm sticking around because I can see that future, and I can see the possibilities that are here in the city.
Another cool thing that every one of these restaurants mentioned to me was seasonal changes on their menu. Fall is here, or some might say almost here, but restaurants are rolling seasonal menus out on their items because it's something the public wants. And they're changing their menus with local farms in mind. You know, Idaho being an agricultural state, it's nice to hear these new restaurants still thinking about how to be using local and using local produce on their menus.
And historically, opening a restaurant is one of the riskiest moves you can do when it comes to business, but they're obviously seeing the upside of this coming to a place like Boise, Idaho, that is continuing to grow.
Yeah, I mean, we heard the Downtown Business Alliance say over 40 new restaurants last year. That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's impressive. A lot of choices out there. All right. Thank you very much, Aspen. Well, another Mountain West team has forfeited their volleyball match against San Jose State University. Abby Davis tells us which team and more news in today's 411.
It's just really tough to see your city go through something like this, and to know that it's going to be really, really tough to rebuild.
202 people have died so far, and hundreds are still missing since Hurricane Helene made landfall a week ago. Former KTVB reporter Karen Zakalak now lives in Asheville, North Carolina. She said there's still no power, no running water, and no phone service. Her family is safe, but schools are closed indefinitely for her 4 kids. She said they're trying to keep moving forward. Another game bites the dust. Today, Utah State University announced it's forfeiting its women's volleyball match against San Jose State University on October 23rd. They didn't say why in their statement, just that the team won't participate and will now record a loss. This is the 4th school to forfeit against San Jose State, including Boise State. All not saying why they forfeited, but the decisions came after a San Jose State volleyball player, Brooke Slesser, said in a lawsuit that her teammate Blair Fleming told her she identified as a transgender woman.
3, 2, 1, cut.
Harrison Preschool in Twin Falls made its playground more accessible. Now kids of all abilities can play on it. The Twin Falls School District says an anonymous donor helped make these improvements. Harrison Preschool specifically serves students with developmental disabilities. That's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
Hopefully you're enjoying this more mild early evening here across southern Idaho. We've got temperatures smack dab on average over in Boise, 72 degrees at the moment. It's a little bit warmer over in Ontario, 73 degrees. And in the mountain spots, we've got those temperatures in the mid to upper 60s right now. So today is very mild and very comfortable. We've got blue skies in the sky, but we will see a little bit of a change as we get closer to tomorrow. The fire danger will be ramping up as a cold front moves through the region. And so as it does that, we could see wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. And the fires that are already burning may behave erratically at times because of the windy conditions that are moving through. So because the new fires could spread quickly and the active fires could also behave erratically, we have a fire weather warning in place. And you can see not a whole lot of people are left out of this. It's just a sliver of spots across the western side of the state, including western Treasure Valley spots. So overall tomorrow, for the most part, we'll have some pretty pleasant conditions, a little on the hot side, but Boise and Ontario expected to be in the 80s. Boise closer to 90 degrees for the high temperature for the day. And this overall is a dry cold front, but we could see a stray sprinkle or two over towards McCall, a little bit drier as we get closer to Haley, but breezy conditions will be expected in some of the mountain spots with more windy conditions expected in the valley. So tomorrow will be warm. We've got winds that will pick up in the afternoon and evening hours. You can see as we get closer to Friday evening is where we really see things become really widespread. But again, we could see some of those gusts get closer to 45 miles an hour. Other than tomorrow, your 7-day forecast is looking very pleasant.
Well, as you can imagine, we got a lot of comments today speaking out against Senator Dan Foreman and what he said during a candidate forum up in Kendrick, Idaho on Tuesday night. Like this one from Linda Kay. Why doesn't Senator Foreman go back to where he came from, which is Lake Forest, Illinois? What a jerk, she says. And I hear that's a pretty, well, not very diverse part of Illinois. Another Republican without the intelligence to support his position. Foreman needs to be sanctioned by the GOP if, of course, the GOP has the intelligence to see how horribly wrong Foreman's comments were and are, says Larry. The obvious answer for the voters of Mr. Foreman's district is to show up en masse on November 5th and vote him out of office for the obvious disrespect he has for his own constituents, says Steve. This one from Pat in Boise. Dan Foreman may be a Roman Catholic, as he told a group of U of I students, but he is certainly not a Christian. In his defense, from Rod in Boise, Senator Foreman was told there wouldn't be any fact-checking. That one's funny. I like that one. That's a good one. Thanks, Rod. Brian, thank you for following some of the worst of Idaho with some of the best in Idaho from Mike and Eagle. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We're not just showing you the negative stuff, because obviously that gets old for us too. We want to see all the good stuff as well, and we're proud to show it here on the 208. Just like Daisy Rain Martin's proud of us. Today was particularly inspiring. Thank you for your commitment to showing how truly wonderful Idahoans are. I'm so heartened that folks in this state stood up against such flagrant racism as well. So remind you, #vote. That is coming up on November 5th. We're going to try to cover those issues leading up to that election as much as we can, and even after. So stay with us. You missed any other 208 episode, you can catch us on YouTube. We'll see you back here next week.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.